Today, a WRAL weather alert day, especially due to the heat. We'll show you where heat advisories are in effect and also which area rivers are already starting to recede. Coming up.
And flood cleanup. Communities across the Triangle are recovering from torrential rains caused by Tropical Storm Chantal. The progress being made across our viewing area.
And search on Jordan Lake. Crews are expected to be back on the water today after 2 boaters disappeared during the storm. What we know about the search efforts up to this point. And today, many communities will begin the overwhelming task of trying to recover, and it is going to be an extremely hot day for that. Good morning, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Yeah, you think about that search team out on Jordan Lake. You think about all that cleanup that has to happen on this WRAL weather alert day. Chris Michaels in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now. Not just that, but the flood stage we're keeping a close eye on as well.
Definitely have to, right? Even though a lot of our area rivers are starting to recede, like the Eno and the Haw River and the Cape Fear at Lillington, they're still running high and still running fast as well. So it's at least a piece of good news, even though there's a lot of cleanup to be done. And because there's some extreme heat in the forecast, we issued a WRAL weather alert day. We first told you about this yesterday, a heat advisory that's in effect for the entire area. That's because the heat index will peak between 104 and 110. Whether or not you're cleaning up from the storm, just make sure you're listening to your body, definitely seeking shade, taking breaks, drinking water and electrolytes to kind of help refuel from some of the work that you're going to be doing. Temperatures today, they're going to reach the mid to upper 90s out there. And with that in mind, our weather alert day is kind of twofold. So we just covered the heat, right? But there is a chance for some showers and storms. It's a level 1 out of 5 risk for severe weather, meaning that severe weather will be isolated, but we start to transition into kind of a stormy pattern. We'll show you what the flood risk looks like coming up in a few minutes.
Breaking news we're following overnight. A highway patrol chase ended in a Raleigh neighborhood early this morning. It happened just after 1 o'clock. Troopers say the chase started after the man took off from a traffic stop. The chase ended in a neighborhood off Six Forks Road. Highway patrol says the man was later found hiding in a culvert. The suspect had felony warrants.
Communities are still recovering from Chantal's impact. The area's hardest. Stein will be at Lake Michael Park in Mebane to survey flood damage from Chantal. Right now, there are more than 5,000 power outages across the state. Chatham accounted for the majority of those outages with more than 3,000. NCDOT says there are dozens of roads closed from flooding across the state. We have team coverage of the cleanup efforts underway across our viewing area. Let's start with Kelsey Coffey, who is live in Chapel Hill, where businesses were hit hard by the floods. Kelsey.
Yes, Renee, you can see how some of these stores in the shopping center in Chapel Hill are boarded up this morning. A cleanup crew just left, and they have a security crew circling around to make sure that there's no looting here this morning. But we'll show you some Sky 5 video of the parking lot here at Eastgate Crossing yesterday. You can see how it's just covered in mud and cars were shifted from their parking spots. More than 60 people had to be rescued in Orange County, and that's just a fraction of the roughly 8,000 911 calls. Mary Stowe's yarn store at Eastgate Crossing was destroyed, and repairs are now adding another financial strain on top of the effects of tariffs.
Because of the tariffs and tariffs on yarn and all of those goods, I had spent every dime I had on more merchandise, getting ready. We're a seasonal business, and my season starts and gets really busy in the fall. And all the prices of everything went up, so I took all my money and put it into merchandise. There it is.
Stowe says this is the second time that her business has flooded. The first time was during Hurricane Florence. And she says just as they were able to recover and rebuild from that storm, they'll be able to do the same thing again. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News. I'm in Chapel Hill.
And much the same over in Durham. Several people were displaced from their homes in Durham after the Eno River flooded Sunday night. The water has receded, but the recovery process is far from over for some. WRAL's Laura Levine is in Durham right now to tell us how those folks are responding. Laura.
Jeff,
Yep, good morning. Right now we are on Felicia Street, one of the many areas impacted by that major flooding from the Eno River. Take it out, you can see the water here is gone, but a lot of that mud still sticking to the ground, as well as some debris. As you mentioned, the recovery is ongoing, but let me show you what things looked like here, exactly where I'm standing yesterday. A completely different situation. You can see how high that water got. The relentless rain from Chantal brought on historic flooding of the Eno River. The river rose 22 feet in 4 hours to record flood levels, which is how we got sites that you're seeing now here, especially on Rippling Stream Road. Dozens of people being rescued by boats as the floodwaters entered homes, reaching chest level, and vehicles floating in the water. Mayor Leo Williams says that this community's proximity to the Eno is a big reason why they actually limit certain development here.
So this area has flooded before, but not this bad, and it's important when we're thinking about, developing. We don't develop in our floodplains, at least we don't now. Some of these properties were developed before I was born, but the reason why we don't develop in North Durham is because it's one where our most sensitive floodplains are. This is why.
And he says that the conversations right now are ongoing in terms of how to protect people in these communities, as well as making sure certain development doesn't reach the low-lying areas. As far as those who have been displaced, we know 80 people were rescued here in Durham, and now the Red Cross has a shelter open at Emmanuel AME Church. Laura Levine, WRAL News, we're live in Durham.
This morning, crews will be back on Jordan Lake searching for 2 missing boaters. It's been more than 24 hours since those boaters were last seen launching their canoe. WRL's Ali Kalubar joins us live there from the boat ramp. Ali, the sheriff's office says hope is not lost.
Yes, Renee, and more than 5 agencies are going to be back out here in the next few hours to continue those search efforts. This is video from Sky 5 from yesterday of these efforts. You can see crews using a boat, even canines. The Chatham County Sheriff's Office tells us the 2 boaters were last seen Sunday at 5 p.m. They launched from Martha's Chapel Road access. The canoe was found empty hours later. Sheriff Mike Robertson says they're not giving up.
Still a possibility they could be on the shore. It's a very wooded area. It's treacherous terrain. The water's rising quickly. Giving it every effort we can to help this family bring their loved ones home. That's what we hope and pray for.
We're going to be out here covering those search efforts, and we are still working to find out the identity of the boaters as well as what led up to this. Reporting in Chatham County, Ali Kadlabar, WRAL News.
A Chatham County woman died just 3 miles from that boat launch during the flooding. That's according to Highway Patrol. The woman was identified as 83-year-old Sandra Hirschman. It happened just after 11:30 Sunday night on Farrington Point Road near Hinton Road. Troopers say Hirschman's car was swept away. No one else was in the car with her.
More than 10 inches of rain fell in parts of our area. All that water is taking a while to recede. In the Wood Lake community of Moore County, people were asked to voluntarily evacuate. The sheriff there says crews had to rescue about a dozen people in the River Bend and Riverview areas. Video from Sky 5 shows the damage left behind on Camp Easter Road in Vass near Crystal Lake. Floodwaters washed away the ground supporting the road. This is one of about a dozen roads washed away in Moore County.
There'll be a big cleanup ahead for people who live at Hyco Lake in Person County. Sky 5 video shows not one property was left untouched there. The power of the water pulling some buildings apart. Debris filling the water in parts where the current is strongest. Person County Sheriff Jason Wilborn says there were no reported water rescues or deaths in the county. He did say some roads around the lake may need to be closed for a while. You can track severe weather with the newly redesigned WRAL weather app. It's free to download and use. And remember to turn on the push notifications so you can get the latest weather updates sent right to your phone in a timely manner.
Today, investigators are working to learn the cause of a plane crash that killed a family in Lee County. Highway Patrol identified the people on the plane as Travis and Candace Buchanan, along with their 2 young children, Aubrey and Walker, ages 9 and 10. The plane went down yesterday in a field north of Sanford. People who knew the Buchanans told WRAL the family owned Buchanan Farms in Sanford. More than 100 people are dead after the catastrophic flooding in central Texas. Here's the latest. Last night, officials confirmed at least 104 died across 6 counties during the flooding. 24 people remain unaccounted for, and that includes 10 campers and a counselor from a Christian summer camp. Search and rescue efforts are expected to continue today. Central Texas is expecting rain, but it's not expected to impact search and rescue efforts.
4:40 is the time on your Tuesday. Increasing weather risks. How changes in our climate could be to blame for more flooding and stronger storms.
Today is the WRAL Weather Alert Day. You're looking live at Chapel Hill right now. All is quiet, but it is warm and muggy out there. After the break, meteorologist Chris Michaels times out the worst of the heat and when storms will be on the way.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
4:44 this morning, we start out with our tower camera on Western Boulevard lit in blue because of the clear sky overhead. It is warm out there, though, and it's that humidity that's led to a WRAL Weather Alert Day and a heat advisory that's in effect for the entire area. But if you want to get outside early, that's probably the best time to do so. Even by 9 a.m., however, temperatures will be in the low to mid 80s. Today, hotter and stickier across the board. Temperatures peaking between 94 and 98. Of course, when you factor in the humidity, it's going to add to that with the heat index really peaking between about 104 and 109. Storm chances remain low up until about 3 or 4 p.m. After that, we'll see some scattered storms. I'll show you what that'll look like and where we could see once again some localized flooding coming up.
Roads have collapsed in Moore County because of the flooding from Chantal. Sky 5 has this view of Camp Easter Road in Vass near Crystal Lake. Floodwaters washed away the ground that is supporting that road, and it's one of about a dozen roads washed away in Moore County.
We've seen the powerful images of flooding, rescues, and damage across central North Carolina. WRAL climate reporter Liz McLaughlin takes a closer look at what is driving these changes and why scientists say they are happening more often.
In Chapel Hill, nearly 9 inches of rain fell in just 24 hours, triggering a flood that experts say has a 1 in 1,000 year chance of happening in any given year. But climate scientists say events like this, those extreme rainfall events, are becoming more common.
Tropical depression Chantal sent floodwaters rushing through parts of central North Carolina, drowning cars and businesses in Orange County and tearing through a road in Durham. In many areas, the rainfall broke records, and scientists say it's part of a larger trend.
Heavy downpours are becoming more intense in the U.S. as climate change supercharges the water cycle. As the planet warms, the atmosphere gets greedier. For every 1 degree of warming, it can hold on to 4% more moisture, and that makes for heavier rainfall events.
Nearly 90% of major U.S. cities have seen a rise in extreme rainfall in recent decades. That includes the Triangle, where rainfall intensity has increased by 21% since 1970. That means more rain in less time.
It's definitely jarring to see it happen in North Carolina, especially so close to home.
Helena Garcia is studying patterns of frequent flooding across the state. Her research team found more than 90,000 buildings flooded in the past 3 decades, many outside FEMA-designated flood zones.
A lot of development has already happened in flood-prone areas, especially in Chapel Hill. So I think a lot of what we should be focusing on is reducing the flood risks to these places.
Communities can also prepare by improving stormwater infrastructure and strengthening emergency communication as flood risk grows across the state.
We don't yet know how much climate change played a role in this particular storm. That kind of analysis takes some time. But a national study from Climate Central found more than a third of the $230 billion in inland flood damage over the past 4 decades likely wouldn't have happened without human-caused climate change.
That's Liz McLaughlin reporting, and the National Weather Service confirmed 4 tornadoes touched down in our area Sunday. Those crews surveyed the locations in Lee, Chatham, Alamance, and Orange counties. We caught up with the experts at the site of the tornado touchdown in Lee County. You can see more of what those inspectors saw there by checking out the WRAL YouTube page.
Flooding along the Eno and Haw rivers has closed portions of the Mountains to Sea Trail. all of segment 9 from Greensboro's Bryan Park to the Eno River State Park is closed. The western 25 miles of segment 10, which goes from the Eno River State Park to Falls Lake, are also closed. Now, if you're planning a hike, make sure to check for closures before you leave. Officials say more sections of the trail could close as waters recede.
In Harnett County, meantime, officials are watching Cape Fear River levels. They shared this aerial photo on Facebook. Cape Fear Shriner Park is closed as officials monitor river levels there. The Parks and Rec Department hopes to reopen the park to the public tomorrow. And right now, 4:48 is your time on a Tuesday, and WRAL Weather Alert Day on tap again. And Chris Michaels over in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with what we should be looking out for today.
And a lot of that has to do with the heat advisory that's in effect as cleanup continues, even as water levels recede. There's also some limited showers and storms. These are going to be on a more isolated scale heading late into the afternoon. So here's midday today on Futurecast, and you see just a few of those cumulus clouds that are going to be building in the heat of the day, and eventually they build to a point where they rain themselves out a little bit. But even by 4 p.m., looks like most of our storminess is going to be just west of here. After 5 p.m. or so, you see just about 30 to 40% of the area dealing with your somewhat typical showers and storms for this time of year. I do think we see more storms up toward Virginia, where these storms feed off of some of the Blue Ridge Mountains. But nonetheless, there's a level 1 risk for severe weather today, meaning that severe weather would be isolated. And there's that same risk from NOAA Storm Prediction Center tomorrow and Thursday as we get into a stormy pattern. A lot of that has to do with the heat and the humidity and the fact that you have these frontal systems that squeeze that out in the form of scattered to at times numerous showers and storms. So each of those days, unfortunately, you're going to have an additional flood threat as well. A lot of moisture to work with, right? When the dew point is in the mid 70s, that's when it not only feels very sticky, but the atmosphere has a lot of that moisture to work with. Currently in the triangle, it's at 81 degrees. So that's why we've got this weather alert day going on, is because of that 1-2 punch. And you see it here, right? So in the brighter red, that's your air temperature, which reaches the mid to upper 90s today. The heat index is in that darker red, which is going to reach into the triple digits. And especially for those of us cleaning up after the storm, really got to be listening to our bodies. I know there's a lot to do. Just try not to overexert yourself on a day like today. Tomorrow, low to mid 90s. Most of our storms, again, some of those could be numerous heading into the evening. And then each day that follows has that daily chance for scattered to at times numerous showers and storms. High temperatures, guys, about 90 to 94 degrees.
Discounts and deals. Find some great prices online shopping today. The new changes to look for on this Amazon Prime Day.
Also, the cost of scrolling. 5 on your side explains how your social media use could damage your budget.
Welcome back. The Tools for Schools Community Supply Drive starts this week. Wake County school leaders plan to kick things off today. For the next few weeks, you can help teachers who have to spend their own money on supplies for class. The Community Supply Drive runs July 9th through August 22nd. The supply drive features public drop-off locations across Wake County. You'll find all the details at wakeed.org.
Amazon's popular Prime Day kicks off today, and there's big changes. Amazon will run Prime Day for 4 full days, July 8th today through Friday the 11th. It's a change from the past. Typically, it's only been 2 days. This is the first major change to the duration of Amazon's summer Prime Day festivities since 2017.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? The Postal Service knows. David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
If you're a SpongeBob SquarePants fan and movies, TV shows, and the occasional parade are not enough, the U.S. Post Office hears you. SpongeBob and the Bikini Bottom Gang appear on 4 new Forever stamps, which are to be officially unveiled August 1st in New York.
I was like, oh, word, okay.
Michael B. Jordan is teaming up with a Black Panther co-star for his reimagining of the Thomas Crown Affair. The Hollywood Reporter says Danai Gurira, also known for The Walking Dead, is joining the romantic heist thriller, which Jordan is also directing and producing. Oscar winner Kenneth Branagh and Oscar nominee Lily Gladstone are also on board.
the numbers all go to 11.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder.
This Is Spinal Tap had fans rocking over the weekend. The mockumentary's 41st anniversary re-release grossed more than $1 million with limited showtimes, prompting distributors to add more play dates July 8th, 9th, and 10th. A sequel, Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues, is due out September 12th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
In Wake County, the 2025 election season has kicked off. Candidate filings for municipal races will last through noon July 18th. That's next Friday. 13 different Wake County municipalities will be holding elections this November. Candidates can file at the Board of Elections Operations Center on New Hope Road in Raleigh.
Search on Jordan Lake. Crews are expected to be back on the water today after 2 boaters went missing during the storm. What we know about the search efforts to this point.
A storm like no other. This weekend's floods are already being compared to some of the state's deadliest hurricanes. Find out why.
And is your scrolling costing you? 5 on Your Side reveals how your social media habit could be draining your wallet.